Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into something really fundamental human consciousness and, well, just how powerful our brains actually are.
It's astonishing when you stop to think about it.
Totally. I mean, think about your own brain. It's incredibly energy efficient, right?
Yeah.
Learns languages, makes complex judgments, things even our best supercomputers, well, they struggle with.
Right. It's like this unknown computational frontier. It operates so differently.
Exactly. And that leads us to the big question for today, kind of a provocative one. What if the secret to all this power, maybe even consciousness itself, isn't based on the classical physics that runs our laptops? What if it's down in the weird world of quantum mechanics?
Well, that's a fascinating idea. And actually, it's one scientists have been kicking around for, about 30 years now.
30 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
this question of whether the brain might actually need quantum processes to, do cognition. It's definitely intriguing, but also pretty controversial.
Controversy seems to be the name of the game here, doesn't it? Because there's this radical new study out of Shanghai University that adds another piece to this puzzle.
A new piece of evidence, or maybe a new hypothesis.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack this research. We'll look back at where these quantum brain ideas even came from, try to understand this mechanism they're proposing involving spooky action at a distance.
Ah, yes, Einstein's famous phrase.
Exactly. And then we'll talk about the challenges, the hurdles, and what all this might mean for your understanding of your own mind.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Where did this kind of radical idea come from? Because the thought that our brains might have quantum properties isn't brand new.
No, definitely not. You have to go back to the 90s, really. There was British physicist Roger Penrose and the American anesthesiologist Stuart Hameroff.
Right, Hameroff. They came up with this model, the Orchestrated Objective Reduction Model, or Orch-OR.
That's the one. And it was pretty out there suggesting consciousness literally comes from quantum stuff happening inside tiny structures, microtubules within our brain cells,
Yeah.
like a quantum collapse, creating a moment of awareness.
And it's really important to stress this wasn't and still isn't, a mainstream scientific view. Hameroff himself has talked about facing serious criticism. He even used the word bashing when it was first published.
Yeah, major pushback. But interestingly, the core idea didn't just vanish. There's been other research since then looking at things like quantum coherence in biological systems.
Stuff that hints, maybe, perhaps, that even if the brain isn't a full-blown quantum computer like we usually think of them.
Right, not like the ones they're building in labs.
Exactly. But some subtle quantum effects might still be involved somehow in generating consciousness?
Okay, so that background is helpful. Which brings us then to a key concept for this new study, and it's central to quantum mechanics itself. Quantum entanglement.
Ah, entanglement. Yeah, that's probably one of the weirdest, most non-intuitive parts of quantum theory.
For anyone listening who isn't familiar, entanglement is basically where two particles, often photons, particles of light, get linked, inextricably linked.
So linked that if you measure something about one particle, you instantly know the state of the other one, no matter how far apart they are. Miles, light years, it doesn't matter.
It just seems wrong, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like they're communicating faster than light.
It seems so wrong that Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. He really wasn't comfortable with it.
But it's real.
Oh, yeah. It's been proven over and over in experiments. It's actually fundamental to things like quantum computing and quantum communication now. No longer spooky, just quantum.
Okay, so keep that spooky action entanglement in mind. Now let's look at this new study from Shanghai University. It was published in Physics Review E. They're proposing a really specific way this kind of thing might happen in the brain.
Right, they're focusing on a particular material, myelin. This is the fatty stuff that wraps around our nerve fibers, the axons, the parts that transmit electrical signals.
Like insulation on a wire.
Sort of, yeah. And their mathematical models suggest that this myelin sheath, the way it's structured, could actually create an environment where photons can become entangled.
Okay, how? What's the proposed mechanism there?
Well, they suggest the myelin forms this kind of cylindrical cavity. Think of it almost like a tiny, tiny echo chamber or resonator. And inside that space, molecular vibrations could spontaneously emit photons.
Like particles just popping out from vibrations?
Potentially, and not just any photons, but pairs of photons that are entangled. Their models suggest quite a significant number could be generated this way.
And they get specific about the type of photons.
They do. They talk about infrared photons interacting with specific chemical bonds, carbon-hydrogen bonds, in the fatty myelin tissue. This interaction could trigger what's called biphoton generation.
By photon, so two photons created at once.
Exactly. Two photons from one interaction event, and crucially, their models predict many of these pairs would be entangled.
Okay, wow. So let's assume for a second these entangled photons are being generated inside the myelin. What would they, do? What's their function in the nervous system supposed to be?
That's the really big leap, connecting it to consciousness. The paper itself says something like consciousness hinges on the synchronized activities of millions of neurons.
Right, we know synchronization is key for the brain to work properly.
But the mechanism responsible for orchestrating such synchronization remains elusive. That's their starting point.
Okay, so they're suggesting entanglement is the missing mechanism, the thing that synchronizes everything.
Potentially, yes. They propose that entanglement could be the physical basis for how cognition arises, especially this large-scale synchronization needed for, processing information quickly, responding to things, getting millions of neurons to fire together.